It's come to my attention that I rub my nose frequently while shooting these videos. I think that originally, well, part of it is it's a nervous habit, believe it or not. When the camera's on me, my nose starts itching. It's really weird. I can't really explain it, and it's like it's just become a habit. Like my nose isn't even necessarily itching, and I just sort of subconsciously or unconsciously rub it, and wasn't even aware of it until Karen pointed it out. So I figured I'd do like one more video and like not rub my nose. That's a sort of a challenge I've created for myself. Another book I read recently, which I'm always curious to read because I work in a bookstore, so I must have handled like hundreds of copies of it. Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. I guess he must have, I don't know, I think this is like the 17th century, so this is even earlier than Thomas de Quincey. It's sort of a religious book. It's kind of an analogy, but it's it's a really flimsy analogy because all the characters will be named things like what are some of the characters' names that are really transparent. Well, there are places, even the place names like Mount Caution and and it's that kind of thing, and the names of the people like Mr. Moneylove, and Mr. Buy-ins, and Christian is the main character. Another character called Hopeful, and another one is called Mr. Hold the World. So it's that kind of an analogy. It's not terribly clever by today's standards, but the book has a nice flow. I guess it's an analogy for like a Christian man trying to make it to to the gates of paradise and all the perils he encounters on his way. So it's a very wholesome book. It's not terribly exciting by today's standards. And plus, it's a shameless religious text. So, but some people still do read it. Not just people in seminary school. And I read it, and I thought it was a very interesting artifact. It was a nice, relaxing, pleasant book to read. Some books I read, like some books about stuff, the conspiracies going on in the world are like so evil that it's like I gotta take a break from them because it's like you just sort of feel so creeped out and stuff like that. But this is not one of those books. This is one of those nice books, and so I don't regret having read it, and I'm glad I got it out of the way. So that's my very brief and facile review of John Bunyan's
You can say more stuff.
The Pilgrim's Progress. For more stuff, well...
About that book.
Yes, maybe I'll do that for a different video. I'll just talk about this book Karen got me. Petty Troubles of Married Life by Honoré Balzac. And this is his typical fare, a very clever, witty story, about a young couple getting married, and he's always like very detailed and explains in very definite terms like the financial arrangements involved with the marriage and like how much money they have and how much money they stand to inherit and all their expenses and stuff, and it's very interesting. He's all his writing. He wrote a series of books, and they're all unified under I don't remember, but it's like basically kind of like a snapshot of the Napoleonic age in France. So it's like a very detailed, like sort of sociological study, and he uses a lot of recurring characters in his books. So it's almost like not like a soap opera, but a lot of I read like maybe 4 or 5 of his books, and I think like I'm familiar with at least 6 of his recurring characters. The Human Comedy, yeah, that's what the series is called. He called the body of his work The Human Comedy, and he's always very entertaining, and being Francais, heavy on the romance and all that kind of stuff, and I like his work. No one's ever gonna write like that again because our culture is dying. So this kind of stuff is like a little bit too sophisticated for the future race of lower IQ people that seem to be perpetuating on the globe. But anyway, yeah, Honoré de Balzac. There's actually one book of his that I actually didn't really like that much, and it was actually recommended to me by somebody who I thought whose word I actually put some stock in. It was what was that book about? It was esoteric, or I can't remember it now. It totally escapes me. But it's a book about, I guess, some people that I think they had like some kind of like preternatural powers, or in touch with the netherworld or something like that. I wish I could remember. It's just so embarrassing when I can't remember things. So this is what happens when you're up for like 35 hours. But that was the only book that I didn't really care for. I only got like maybe a quarter of the way into it. And the reason I didn't like it was because it was so different from all his other works. It kind of like stood all by itself. I mean, as an independent work, it really wasn't bad, but it didn't really belong with the series. So I wish I could remember the name of it. Kind of like negates my bringing up the topic entirely if I can't remember what the name of the book was. But anyway, this one, The Petty Troubles of Married Life. This is odd edition. It looks like typewritten copy, and it's like only like 100 pages or 127 pages, 28 pages.
But it says complete on it.
Yeah, it's a complete thing. So it's 128 pages, and it's in this format. So imagine, if it's smaller type, it'd probably be compressed down to like around 50 pages. This is he writes a lot of short stories and sort of like brief novels and stuff, and very good. I highly recommend him. Very enjoyable if you're in for that kind of stuff. However, if you like all these like fucking gangster romances and shit like that, don't bother with this. It'll go over your head. But okay, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.